Hey Lennies, welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you guys enjoyed our last video. I feel like I want to do more stuff like that, more reaction stuff, because I haven't done it in a long time. But speaking of not having done something in a long time, I have not done a story time in a long time. And I have a story for you guys that I never told you because, well, for a while, I just didn't know if I wanted to expose this person, but I think what I'm gonna do is just keep them anonymous. And I'm gonna tell you as the time. Oh God, someone off Raya texting me. I think they want a FaceTime date. Should I include you guys in the FaceTime date? Just kidding. As you can see in the title, this video is about why I will never volunteer at a rabbit rescue again. I know that sounds like it doesn't make sense because I'm a rabbit advocate. Every video is this whole channel is about rabbit activism, and I work closely with rescues every single day all over the world. I collaborate with them on my videos, etc., etc. But that's not what I'm talking about, okay? What I'm talking about is being an actual volunteer at a rabbit rescue, independent of this channel. I want to make the disclaimer here that I love rabbit rescues. Even if I have my differences with a few rescues out there in the world, it does not matter to me because any rescue that's doing the work to get bunnies off the streets, to save them from terrible situations, and rescues that are promoting adoption, I have respect for. And I don't want you guys to not be interested in volunteering at a rabbit rescue just because of this story, because this is my personal experience. I just don't want it to deter anybody from, going into rescues or shelters and helping, because those places need help. So we're gonna start with this rescue. Let's call them Bunny Universe. That's gonna be their nickname in this video, and everyone's gonna be anonymous. So as you guys know, I got Lennon back in 2015, and I had spent that whole first year just kind of navigating bunnyhood, becoming like a self-taught bunny owner, because there just weren't a lot of resources on the internet or in general about rabbits. So this is, again, pre the YouTube channel. And at the time I was like, you know what? Lennon has given me so much. She's given me so much love, so much knowledge. I want to give back. I want to give back to the bunnies in need. How can I do this? And I was calling around the city of Los Angeles and trying to find a rescue that could be a resource for me and people that I could connect with in the bunny community. So I Googled bunny rescues, Los Angeles or whatever. So I called them and I was like, hey, do you guys have a happy hour? Like I'd love to bring my bunny and meet other bunny owners. And the lady was like, let's call her Kayla. She was like, no, we don't do happy hour, but why don't you come over? Have some tea at my house. Let's talk about how you can get involved. And I was like, that sounds great. So I met with Kayla at her house, and she, this rescue, Bunny Universe, doesn't actually have a facility, as most rescues don't. A lot of rescues are foster-based. And so that just means that all the bunnies in the network are with fosters and not at an actual facility. But Kayla specifically was keeping at least 20 or 25 buns at her house. I thought that was really admirable, because I was like, man, she's really putting in the work. She's saving the bunnies, and she was in dire need of help. I could tell, because how can one person take care of all those bunnies in your home? And in addition to that, she, has to work and has her other personal things going on. So I was like, look, I'm in school at the time and I work full time. I was like, look, I can probably give you once a week. I can't drive out really far. This is probably as far as I can drive. I'm really good at photography and media and videography. These are my talents. How can I serve you and the bunnies? And she chose to not utilize my creative talents. She wanted someone to clean. So I was like, okay, that's fine, I can do that. So she's like, why don't you come here once a week to my house and help me clean up after the bunnies and all that stuff, and like feed them and, you know, replenish the hay and all that. And I was like, that sounds easy enough. I can do that. I remember the first time I went, you have to bear in mind, I'm like cleaning out at least like 20 different rabbit litter boxes, right? And they're drenched, they're soiled, they're soaked because nobody's doing it. So they're several days old. And I'm getting all this rabbit odor on me, like from so many different rabbits. And I didn't think anything of it because, again, I was a novice. I, you know, did all my tasks, all the manual labor that I had to do. Then I went home. And Lennon at the time was barely a year old. And you guys have heard this story before because I made a full video on it the day that Lennon attacked me for the first time. And I've never seen Lennon so angry in my life, you guys. It was terrifying. It actually traumatized me because she drew blood from me at least twice that night. And if you want all the details of like what happened, I will hyperlink it in this video. The underlying problem here was that I smelled like other bunnies. It was an intruder, you know, coming into her territory. She didn't know any better. She's a baby still. She was just defending her territory. She was doing what any rabbit in her position would do. And I was like thinking to myself after this very traumatizing situation in which I was like physically injured, I was like, I don't know if I can keep going to this woman's house. Like, it doesn't seem sustainable if this is how Lennon is going to react every time I come home. So I tell Kayla what happens, and she's like, oh, I have an idea. Why don't you just bring Lennon? Bring Lennon with you. No, like, sympathy, empathy. Oh my God, it sounds so stressful. Let's reevaluate this. None of that. So, like the young, naive 26-year-old that I was with no backbone, I agreed to bring Lennon with me every single time, which becomes kind of a nuisance because, like, who wants to travel with their bunny to do this, like, every week? It's kind of a lot. Like, I shouldn't have to put Lennon through the stress of bringing her to where all these bunnies are, cleaning up after her, cleaning up after the other bunnies, bringing her back home. Rabbits don't like car rides, but I did it anyway because I was like, I don't want to give up on this woman. I don't want to give up on these bunnies. And so I did this for like a long time. I can't even tell you how long, like at least a couple months. And in addition to this, guys, like I'm working full time, I'm going to school full time. So like the very little free time that I have in the week, I'm like dedicating it to Kayla and these bunnies. And then I found like over time, like Kayla would be really manipulative. Like she would tell me things like, you're one of the good ones. Because most people would just walk out on the bunnies. And I was like, oh my God, she thinks I'm a good person. If I ever quit, I'm going to be a horrible person. I can't quit. I have to keep coming. She would also have these like little microaggressions or just like these little insults that she'd throw at me sometimes, like because I wear acrylic nails. And she'd be like, are those acrylics? And I'd be like, yeah. And she was like, I could never wear those. When you're rescuing bunnies 24/7, it's so hard to wear acrylics. And not just that, but I would find her kind of like making me do extra housework that wasn't really part of the original agreement, but she would slip it in somehow, like, because I'd be like dumping out the litter boxes in like a trash bag, right? And so she would say, oh, why don't we consolidate all the trash in the house? So like go to the bathroom, like throw out my personal garbage in there too, and the kitchen garbage, and you know, and she would like make me do the whole house's garbage. She was obviously older than me, like 15 years older. So she had this like seniority and this like authority over me, and I again had no boundaries, never questioned anything. And I even started doing things that like weren't at her home anymore. I started branching out and expanding into more complicated tasks. So for instance, I would go get a bunny spayed and neutered. I would go pick up a bunny from the shelter. I would drive them to the vet. I would go rescue a dumped bunny. I even hired a professional photographer for all of the bunnies to be photographed so that Kayla could put it on Bunny Universe's website. Do you think Kayla wound up doing that? No, she didn't. So a lot of my efforts felt like they were going unrecognized. It was overwhelming. I would get calls from her all hours of the day to go do something, go do a task. And it almost felt like another job, honestly, guys. And mind you, I also have to take care of my own rabbit, Lennon. But there was a part of me, again, because she was so like manipulative, that she would like try. I felt like I had to prove myself to her. I wanted her validation. I wanted her respect. I wanted her to like me. And I think as someone who grew up with a really low self-esteem, I wanted to feel worthy, like I had a purpose, like I was doing something good for the world. And I think that's a very human feeling that all of us can relate to. She would write all these like paragraphical emails to me about what to do, when to do it. She would say things like, "We don't have a luxury of time. Consider this an emergency," if there was like something happening with a bunny. So all of this was starting to get to be a lot. And I sent Kayla a very nice diplomatic email about how I had to step away from this. I kind of tried to diffuse the situation a little bit by offering her my other services that I could do from home. For instance, graphic design, video editing, running her socials, etc. I was like, "Look, I can like make really cool videos for you. I can do X, Y, and Z for you." She was like, no. That's not what she wants. She doesn't want that done. She already has a person who runs the socials. They were not doing a good job because the socials were very subpar. The content was subpar. And I was like, "No, you don't get it. Like, I can edit videos for you. Like, that's really valuable." And this is, again, before the YouTube channel. She rejected everything that I offered her. If it wasn't the manual labor and like driving around the city, she didn't want it. And so we parted ways. I said my goodbye. And then guess what, guys? I started my channel. I literally started the channel soon after that. If she doesn't want those services from me, I'm gonna take my own talent, put it back into me, make my own videos, make my own content, do my own advocacy work without somebody not treating me very well, not being appreciative of the work. And I still get to help the bunnies. So I go on to find success with my YouTube channel. The videos start to do really well. A lot of them start to go viral. And I can't remember how I got like suckered back into working with her again, but I think I was still in touch with someone that volunteered there. Somehow I started to get asked again to do things, because it was so covert in the way that I was suckered back into it without me like really consciously knowing that I was starting to volunteer for this rescue again. It was just a little thing here, a little thing there. And I found myself basically being a full-time volunteer again by the end of it all. So what happened before just happened again, basically, which is I burnt myself out. I was doing so many things again for Kayla and this rescue, and she was calling me at all hours of the day. Obviously, she knew of my channel at this point and my videos, and I think she just like, there's a part of her that kind of wanted to continue to be associated with me because the channel was doing well, and so she wasn't really letting me go either. We started to butt heads a lot. And I remember like the final straw was she asked me to go pick up this bunny that had been like abandoned at a Petco. Like someone dropped off the bunny at Petco. So I had to go pick up this bunny like at 8 in the morning or something crazy, like before Petco even opens. And then drive this bunny to the other side of town to get it neutered. But then Kayla was also like, "Oh, can you also come to my house and pick up the neuter voucher?" I mean, you guys, like I literally am making minimum wage at my job. Like I'm not getting compensated for gas or anything like that. And mind you, Kayla is making like a 6-figure salary from being the founder of this rescue. And she lives in like $1 million home. And everybody else under her, we're just volunteers. We don't get anything from this, which is fine. That's the definition of a volunteer, but I just like couldn't afford it anymore. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm gonna do this for this bunny. Again, I would talk myself into like making it about the bunny. Drove around the whole city, which took hours in the middle of like rush hour traffic. You know, I will admit that day I was a little sassy with Kayla because at this point, like everything I've been bottling up for the past like 2 years is starting to seep out a little bit. But then she wrote me this email. You've never understood how Bunny Universe operates. You've had difficulty with every single task you committed to, and I've been frustrated too many times that it's best we part our ways. I know you love bunnies, but rescue is a whole different ballgame. Bunny Universe demands consistency, structure, and loyalty. She's like, this has never been the right organization for you on so many levels, and it's okay. Either way, I bid you goodbye and wish you all the best with your own contribution to bunnyhood. Not to bore you guys with like reading emails and whatnot. I don't think I responded to that email because I was like, I don't even know what to say at this point. Like, she's obviously cutting me off. I don't think I should argue with her any further or defend myself. She doesn't appreciate anything I've done. I literally felt like she never appreciated anything I did. That was the last time that she and I ever spoke. And let me tell you guys, as a 26-year-old girl who's still like navigating her way through the world, I cried so much after that. I cried for at least a couple weeks because I felt like I was just being discarded, like I was disposable. And I also felt like I was being rejected. I think just the act of cutting someone off, it does make the other person feel powerless, and it makes the other person feel like they don't have a say. And I'm not one to like beg someone to be my friend or to contact someone perpetually asking for closure or an explanation or anything like that. I'm really good about like respecting people when they walk away. And I obviously never contacted her again either. I just let it be. And that was really, really hard because I didn't really have a chance to defend myself or anything. And I didn't respond because I just didn't feel like having the last word. So I just left it, but I cried my heart out. I did. And I also cried not just because of ego or anything. I cried for the bunnies. I still felt like I was giving up on the bunnies. I really mourned that situation for a while because it felt like a breakup. It was almost 2 years of my life that I had dedicated to this rescue and those bunnies. You know, I can understand she's trying to protect her organization in the way that she sees fit. She's going to do what she thinks is best for her. And I came to find out from many other former volunteers and fosters and adopters that they had also been talked down to. They had also been shamed, or, you know, they had some falling out with her. And it happens a lot with Kayla. And it's a shame that that's how she treats people. This rescue has a not great reputation in the city of LA. And I did find some solace in that because I thought, okay, I shouldn't take this personally because this is just who she is with everybody. And look, I have to say, running a rescue is stressful. It's not easy. And the kind of work that she's doing is still admirable. She's still doing a lot for the bunnies. But what I will say, guys, from this whole experience, because I learned so much from it, I will give her this. I learned a lot from this woman about rabbit care. I really gained a great understanding of rabbit advocacy that I was able to bring into the channel. And a lot of what you guys have seen, of course, is self-taught, but a lot of it has also been me learning through these rescues and how they operate and what they do. After I parted ways with this rescue, I decided to just dive in headfirst into the channel. And as soon as I graduated UCLA, I just started making weekly videos on YouTube. And the thing about this woman that she's gonna have to deal with for the rest of her life, as long as she's involved with bunnies, is she has to hear my name at least once a day for the rest of her career in bunnies. I know for a fact that she gets sent our videos all the time. I know she rolls her eyes at that. And I know this because the rescues that I am friendly with in LA, which is pretty much all of them except for that one, they all tell me that people who want to adopt from them say that they get their rabbit care from us. What I did with this channel, this whole brand, this whole like little empire that we've created, Lennon and I offered to do that for her. This could have actually been her. And actually, if I had made even one slightly different decision or taken a different turn, I may have never even started this channel. And maybe I would still be doing something for her, or who knows where I'd be. And then I'll let you guys in on another little fun fact. After I stopped working with Bunny Universe, I was looking for a different rescue to work with on a close and personal level for the videos. And my friend, who is a former volunteer, referred me to Vicky at Adopt a Bunny Rabbit. And she was like, I know this woman, Vicky. It's a really small rescue. She runs it out of her garage, but she's so kind, so sweet, so gracious, and the complete opposite of Kayla. And I think you should give her a call. And Vicky and I wound up making so many videos together. She became such a good friend and mentor and has just helped me in so many ways that aren't even bunny related. And I will forever be grateful for Vicky's friendship and involvement on this channel. I've helped raise a lot of money for Vicky and her rescue, and that's what I wanted to offer Kayla and Bunny Universe so badly. That's my story on why I will never volunteer at a rabbit rescue again. But you guys, again, I just want to say, like, this is not to discourage anyone from volunteering anywhere when it comes to animals or bunnies. This is a very unique situation, and if anything, what I want you to take away from this is just stand up for yourself. And if you aren't having a good experience somewhere volunteering, that doesn't mean you shouldn't volunteer at all or you should stop your rabbit advocacy. Just take that advocacy and turn it to something else. So maybe that is starting a YouTube channel, or maybe it's finding another rescue to work with. Let's not forget the shelters, because the shelters are in dire need of help as well. Or maybe legislative change is more up your alley, you know, getting local laws changed. And sometimes it does take a coalition, but my point is there are many ways to get involved, many ways to help. So sometimes when a door closes, another one opens, and that sentiment could not be truer for this situation. But thanks for sticking around. I know this was like a super long story, and I hope it didn't bore you to death, but I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all soon. Mwah.